Hello and happy Monday. Oops, I gave a secret preview of who is going to be here in the session today. But hi, I'm Ryan Erickson. I am a contributing artist for Rid 42, collaborative change advocate and advocate of BetaCodex Network here, hosting BetaCodex live on LinkedIn and YouTube. And that Bird platform used to be the Bird, now it's X. Who knows? Um, Here today, we're going to be talking about the theme of worldwide beta. What does that mean? Is bringing these 12 laws, principles, patterns of organizational decentralization, democracy, organizations fit for complexity and humanity, what we all know as the Beta Codex. How might we bring those principles farther into the world and within the network of practitioners, within the network of networks, and within other practices? And with me here today, I have my usual and beloved partner, Niels Flagging,
And
and
also,
also with us today, we have Dr. Mohammad Waheedi. The in the context for bringing Dr. Mohammed, I gotta say Dr.
you said
Mohammed
it once. You
Waheedi.
said it once.
Oh, I said
Once,
it once. I can keep saying it. So to bring Mohammed in here is because Mohammed is working with Niels to bring a conference, Agile Kuwait, and I'll let you say more about that, to um, a kind of confluence, a conference in Kuwait, and based on your practice, Mohammed, what the Beta Codex means to that practice, and beyond. And today also we will, in addition to that, talk about what each of our visions, specifically yours, Mohammed, are to invite more participation into the network. Um, and with that, Mohammed, why don't you say a bit about yourself to our audience, and then we can go into why the Beta Codex is important to you and to the network.
thank you. Thank you, Ryan. Thank you, Niels. I'm honored to be with you today here.
We are honored as
Uh,
well. I have a doctor,
it's oh, okay.
a really
Well,
qualified person on the podcast.
I'm glad that my doctorate actually led me to you. So I'll give you some background. The background is in 2005, I graduated with a degree in organizational behavior and leadership. And my research study my PhD was related to whether leadership affect commitment to change, and whether I plugged in participation in the change in the middle of the model, and to figure out whether leadership alone or participation led to that. And you would guess it, Niels. Leadership has very, very little effect. Leadership, the
As
person
manager.
who's want people, yeah,
Mm.
the boss. So participation was biggest uh, factor in people's commitment. And from there, I closed my thesis. I left all the organizational behavior for another 15 years doing something else, and then left the university to come back to my original passion. And I left the university 2020 and started my own consulting. Through
You
that
worked.
process,
You worked at a university. Like
but not in that field. I'm a pharmacist by training, so I was teaching pharmacy students.
yes,
So imagine, although I use the technique, the tools, everything, the theories through my work, but I cannot teach it or do research on it during that
yes,
time.
yeah.
So during the process of building my consulting, I bump into your lecture, and all of the sudden I see this man standing there talking about McGregor theory X and theory Y as an integral part of his presentation. So that's interesting for me. And then uh, once I learned how you have this the beta codex, and how it's all connected into a process and discipline, and into a methodology and transformation, uh, even history, with all uh, performance appraisal part of it, everything that the company deal with is part of it. That was amazing. So I joined their class.
Yes.
So now, how did we end up with? Yeah,
The one that
yeah,
Brian
yeah,
was part of as well. Yeah, that was a
yeah,
lovely group. Yeah, we
yeah,
had great
yeah.
discussions.
But how did we end up with a conference? Again, everything I do with my clients, current clients, I do it to the limit of their ability to take everything except go into theory why. So what I mean is, we can they're happy with the results, but they don't want to go that far. They don't want to go to that complete decentralization of the thought of decentralization. The only methods that many methods, but one of them is how can we expose people to such methodologies without having a consulting contract, and the conference came up as a good idea. So remember, I talked to you maybe almost a year ago about it, and now we've been trying to do it in a kind of experimental fashion. We went there, asked people whether they're gonna join, what's in it for them, and all that. And then once we have people signing in, we were ready to announce it.
And the conference will happen in November already. It's just
Yes,
a week to go, right? So
less than 4 weeks.
What is the conference called, and how might a viewer of this particular episode of BetaCodex Live, how might they find it? How might they register?
Well, it's the issue of we are in Kuwait. We're too far, so I don't expect people to fly from abroad to it. So it's more local. Maybe some people from the Gulf states they can join. So it's called the Kuwait Agile Transformation Conference. Niels and Silke are gonna be there. He will have a keynote. Both will have keynotes, and then we're going to have a format of open space. So we're gonna involve all the participants into generating themes and discussing these themes toward figuring out how to make transformational or BetaCodex fit the context they live in every day.
This way, it's the first open space conference in Kuwait as well.
It is, yeah. So that's again the trick is, how can we expose people to open space without them committing? Just invite them to a conference of open space. So that's very low risk exposure.
Yeah, I think we figured out a format that is inviting and that will simply offer an opportunity to explore open space as a format without maybe expecting it, or knowing much about it previously. I think we figured out a format that should work for everyone, even those who will not be prepared at all, for open space interaction. Yeah, but as we think open space is the most natural form of interaction, really, we figured that it should work like this. Yeah. So it's a conference spanning 2 days, right?
Yeah, 2 days. Not the full day that you know it. It's going to be from 9 till 3. That's a full day in our context in Kuwait.
Yes.
We consider that a full day.
I think we will make sure that people will be tired anyway after.
Yeah.
They might have a drink still, something non-alcoholic, as we will be in Kuwait.
Of course.
But I think it will be plenty of space to explore feelings and thoughts and the topic of agile transformation, BetaCodex. In a way, at this conference, we also play this card of saying, well, the way we frame agile here is the BetaCodex, right, Mohammad?
Yeah, I think so. Well, I think the design. Feel free to go to my LinkedIn account where put that PDF, the program. I'm excited about the program. Niels and Silke put a good deal in thinking through it, and I think it's just exciting to see the exchanges between panels to open space to keynotes. It's a good mix for the 2 days. Very good mix of program.
I would say it's more or less the characteristic is more or less an opening keynote that I will do, fundamentally. And then we do 3 different rounds of open space over the 2 days. Is that correct? Yeah.
Yeah.
And then a closing, let's say, interactive panel thing, right? To close it up on the second day. Those are the most important features of this conference. So we will have real open space sessions and with an opening, a beginning and an end, of course.
Yeah.
I think it will be
We
very
hope
exciting.
we hope we can have reports from it to the network here in a month or so. Exciting.
Well, as in any good open space, right? You have proceedings. You go there, and the people who are involved bring forth topics about what you talk about, what you love and care about, and you stand up for that. So, again, it'd be very interesting to see or to hear about, since I'm not going to be flying to Kuwait, sadly, what comes out of the sessions and what people, after maybe hearing Niels and Silka, what comes up in their minds, and of what is inspiring to them to want to bring to the center of the circle and do with that. So
yeah,
it'll be exciting, I'm sure.
But the interesting question that some people might think about is also, Mohammed, or maybe Ryan, you should ask a question. Sorry.
Oh no. Hey,
anyone can ask.
Beta and the
I
Middle
can ask
East.
question
Beta and
too.
Kuwait. That's a bit. That might be. Of course, Kuwait is the finest democracy in the Middle East, right? If I'm not mistaken.
It is. I mean, it's considering the region we are in. We have a elected parliament. We have legislative, arm that is elected from the people. That's a kind of rarity in the region. Yes. So we've been adventurous in democratic processes in Kuwait from the beginning, from the early 60s.
So, and given that, again, that progression in the 60s, what do you see in the business culture, in the corporate culture in Kuwait, in terms of maybe and how alpha is it in Kuwait, and how might we be? Because hey,
maybe the American goes first. Mohammed, let's first ask the American about how
alpha
is American
around you. No, I mean,
I can't really swear because YouTube will take care of it.
No,
but no, it's frustratingly so.
Yeah.
And I think that's the question is, and again, what I'm trying to explore here as part of my role in the network and what we do here is how do we bring these ideas in such a way that it creates an aha of what, you're in this alpha organization as we describe it, alpha beta. What is it? And why exactly have I been playing this game where I'm adhering to targets that don't make sense, a purpose that isn't resonant with me, and I'm being measured individually as opposed to measured as a team? All this management stuff that's come here in the US for the last 100 years. How beta is it? Sadly, how alpha is it? Sadly, too much. How beta is it? Not enough. And I said the invitation is, A, do you understand the situation that is here? B, do you care? And C, if you do care, do you want to change it? And if you do, all right, there are ways to do this. There are ways to melt that pyramid and rise up into a sphere where we have colleagues, mastery, and we are pursuing excellence through standards. And again, I could list off all the principles kind of by heart, but that's what I see in the world. And I think it aligns, Mohammed, with what you're talking about in terms of how do we make that invitation more clear? How do we make it more compelling? Say, who's in, who's out? Do you care? Do you want this? It's here for you. So let's make it happen.
Yeah.
So,
well, I see alpha, as you said, all everywhere almost. But the issue is why do we see that? And even with those who trust me, for example, those I work with very closely, they trust me, they trust what I do, but very reluctant to go far with me. And I ask this question: what's going on? And all what I can guess is people are comfortable. They're doing good. You know, companies. As long as their numbers are okay, they can have their vacations. They can do their good things, enjoy life. They look at change as this risk, something full with risk, and why should I get into this risk if I'm doing good? However, they don't know what they're missing. Of course,
I
they
want to challenge a little bit. Who is the they you are talking about?
I mean, the
Who
alpha
is
kind of,
the
we're talking about
the
alpha, the majority alpha kind of organizations. So my thinking is, since Deming, because of the reading we had today, this time, I went and watched that movie. If Japanese can do it, what can we? I
Why
went and
can't
saw
we?
that documentary. Why can't we? And he had the same frustrations we have today, exactly the same. Deming, and they say,
30,
and they say
35, 40 years ago. Yeah,
40 years
40.
ago, and then ask him if Japanese can America do it, and he says yes, of course, we can do it. The issue is, we don't have a clue. We don't know what's right and wrong. We don't have goal. And so we go back to the purpose, the goal. If your purpose is to get by with this organization, make a living, and that's it, well, you're not going with a that far in your goal.
Yeah, very well put, by the way. I see, if I may, Ryan.
Mhm.
Yeah,
please.
interesting. I mean, we are both. The three of us. We are in the consulting game as well. We want to help organizations as consultants to do this kind of transformation from alpha to beta, right? And this is an interesting approach, Mohammed, that you have, that you just described. You have people who are close to you as clients, and they trust you. They have a relationship probably around biologists, chemical, pharmaceutical
Yes,
business
related
things.
to, related to biomedical sciences. Yes.
Yes. So they trust you from that area of expertise, and then
Mhm.
when you suggest this kind of organizational development thing, the leadership or transformation thing, or however you might call it, or decentralization, then there might be a hesitation, right? Whereas, of course, I took a different approach, and this is a question, right? There are two different approaches. You work from your network, the people who trust in you as a consultant, I mean, right, and work with them, or you might also look for to do things that attract clients to you, interested company owners, managers, executives, as we sometimes call them, who might be more willing from finding you, from identifying you, more willing to draw on this to buy into decentralization and the BetaCodex. And I think this is a major challenge for our community as a whole. How do we attract people who are willing to do this? When you talked, Mohammed, I thought of Ricardo Semler. Have you heard of his work? Ricardo Semler from Brazil, who wrote a fantastic book, The 7-Day Weekend. His other book is even more famous, Maverick, but I always recommend The 7-Day Weekend. And in that book, he goes one by one through the perceived risks of self-organization, right? And he debunks them, these risks, and he kind of turns them around and proves that those are not risks of self-organization, but there's a risk of command and control management, of centralization and bureaucracy and so on. And I think this kind of arguing is necessary with the world, with people, with clients as well. Right?
Yeah, we argue a lot. You don't worry about that. We do. Now,
Yes, yes.
I think I'm thinking more of how can the network, I mean, support each other. What we've been doing in the last year or two, I've been in very active in LinkedIn, putting posts here and there. I see people like Niels, I see Ryan, I see other people also posting, and all in the same message, same direction. However, I want to I want to have this question: how effective are we in doing all that? That's the another issue is
Hmm.
we enjoy it. I know we live on likes
Hmm.
sometimes.
Hmm.
We live on reposts, and we love it. However, how much of this translates into collaborations that give us results? That's my question today. For how much of this can how much of it can how much we can leave this aside for a while and get to
Hmm.
more collaborative strategy in spreading the message instead of individualism as anyone else in the world, you know,
Hmm.
Do you mean within the Beta Codex
within
community
at least.
specifically,
Yeah, yeah,
or I mean, one might think of this even further. What about the lean community, the agile community, and organizational development, org design communities, and so on?
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm thinking of at least the people who know beta, who know it very well.
Mhm. Mhm.
Hmm.
Yes, yes, I
So,
can only agree with you, Mohammed. We have a lack of
so
collaborative
if
spirit, of co-producing, co-creating, as we call it these days, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
Well, here, do you want to go for? I would like to take this one first in terms of if you think something should happen, if you've seen it, you've heard the story, you believe the story, that I what I the change I wish to make in the world is to create a more democratic workplace, to have colleagues working together in concert to whatever the story we say. So if you are good with the story you want to put out there about beta, um, then I think it's on each of us individually to ask for help. Kind of like what you've done here with the conference. You ask for help, you put it out there, and and I think there's also I thought about doing this live stream and I talked to Niels about it, and Niels has been very open with it. And like, we're going to do this. This is our experiment to bring forth awareness, but that's not enough. So what do we do? And your question is, what do we do to turn that awareness of the idea into
mm,
action, right? And it's continuing to experiment. It's asking for help. It is,
mm,
and it's not just going to one source. The authority here for the creator of the Beta Codex, Niels, but for us to go to each other and to have that dialogue with each other, like we did in the master class, like others will be able to
mm.
do in future master classes, to put the opportunity out there to get in and ask for help and say, this is, I wish to see the world change and I want other people to do it with. So, and if you don't know where to go, ask for help. So
Well,
that's my contribution first, Niels. I
yeah,
don't know if you want to blow that
Mohammed,
away or bring it
I
in.
think
Someone,
Mohammed has more to
yeah.
say.
I thought about something. Results we are looking for will depends on the network individual engagements. Remember, I want to borrow from Mazic hierarchy. Can you see
Maslow.
this?
Uh-huh.
No, Mazic. Daniel Mazic has
Oh,
this.
Dan. Okay, Dan Mesnick.
Okay.
Okay.
Have you seen him doing this?
Okay, invitation deciding from the bottom up, invitation deciding engagement results. Yeah,
If
okay,
you
that's a
want,
lot.
if we want results,
Yeah,
huh?
yeah.
We want them engaged.
Mm-hmm.
So we want people to be engaged, and to get engaged, they need to make decisions, and we invite them, and once they opt in voluntarily, they're free to opt in up, and then they start deciding, they get the engagement. Maybe we'll find different results, and that's my thinking here today. If we want different results, how can we invite people to make decisions, and how can these decisions, which by nature, they're engaged. Once you decide, when you are deciding, you're engaged. You cannot be unengaged if you're deciding. How can we invite them to make decisions towards the future of the beta movement, beta network? So
You're
if you
talking
allow,
about an invitation to practitioners, right? That
yeah,
people like
yeah,
you and me and
yeah,
others
yeah,
out there who get this. Okay.
exactly. So if you allow me, I have like a version, extending invitation. I'd like to give invitation also in the format of Daniel Mazik, the way he put invitations. So do you allow me to state it?
Your invitation is there. Yeah, you
Okay.
have my permission, not that I necessarily need to
Okay.
grant.
So in the format, I'd like to invite anyone interested into 2-hour strategic workshop for the future of open space beta. It's online. Each of us will share his or her available assets toward a strategy, opportunities we will pursue. We plan to decide on what opportunity to pursue for the group. So everybody gonna decide on the opportunity, and then we're gonna have an action plan after that. During the 2 hours, we're gonna have even designated tasks. Everyone will leave with a task after the 2 hours. However, depending on the agreement we're gonna have in that meeting, in that workshop, we're gonna decide how much time we're gonna dedicate to this. So let's say we're dedicating 1 hour a month, then we're gonna check in again in 30 days. If you say we're gonna dedicate 1 hour every 2 weeks, we're gonna check in again in 2 weeks. That's the invitation. Please RSVP. I hope you can make it.
Okay, I think that's a great invitation. Can you repeat the topic, so to say, that you said at the beginning? The format you're describing.
The topic.
Yes.
The topic. We're gonna develop a vision for the future. How example? I give you an example. We're gonna frame it in a question. For example, I have something old. I showed it to Ryan. Ryan seen it before, but I can say it again here.
Yes.
Let's say if we have this question: imagine a future where BetaCodex is widely adopted as a leading approach to organization management and leadership, with a vibrant community of practitioners and supporters actively sharing its benefits. What would that look like? From
That would be.
that, we can come up with an opportunity in 2 hours with an action plan where people can have, an hour a week, an hour 2 weeks, an hour a month, whatever we agree, how much time we're going to participate in, put in this.
I think
And
that's
that's
fabulous.
in the spirit of agile.
I would like to be in. Can I say
Of
that
course,
already? I'm in.
definitely.
I think that's a fun and exciting and relevant and necessary thing to do. Yeah, for me personally.
Yeah.
I speak for myself, of course, and I will be happy to be part of that. Let's do it.
And I think the purpose of this, for me at least, I think enough, for me at least, enough individual effort. I want to work with a group.
You don't want to do it alone. Is that what I'm hearing?
I don't want to do it alone. And I'm sure
No.
people like me would love the support that I'm seeking also. I'm seeking their support, they're seeking my support.
I mean, when we founded the BetaCodex network 15 years ago, that was exactly the idea, to stop individualizing everything, to stop being segregating, and to integrate people, to collude, as Daniel Mazik likes to say, to conspire, to collude, to stick together, to huddle, instead of everybody being wiser than the other, everybody being afraid of the other, invading their space and taking their business, which was personally, from my personal history, not sure if you guys have had this experience in the past. I had this in the Beyond Budgeting Roundtable, even where we talked about collaboration all the time, but internally we weren't so strong on collaboration. It wasn't so neat, so collaborative. So when we founded the BetaCodex network, it was with this aspiration to do together, and of course we sometimes have done it. We've done several very cool things together in togetherness, but we could do more. Yeah? And this, I like this peer-to-peer thinking that you bring into the table, Mohammed.
Yeah, I think it's a strategy. We want a collaborative strategy. I don't see we have one yet. A way we collaborate in a strategy that people have a piece in it. They have ability to make a decision in it. They have ability to get engaged with it.
Well, I think this comes down to there's some semantics I think we need to talk about too. I mean, that strategy execution. We hear all this stuff about strategy execution, right? And that comes across as this big thing that consultants do and say, okay, now you have strategy, go execute. And I think for me to be in with something that whatever happens in that particular the group, the collaborative group, that there is a sense of not necessarily a strategy that is imposed upon by one person, that we agree and that we have. You watched 12 Angry Men just the same as I did. That was collaboration to stand up for justice for this man, and it was not pretty. It was, and sometimes it's not fun, and but it's always engaging because you're standing up for what you care about, And I think if I were, again, when I am in this place, I want to say what's our direction, right? Where's the steering for this coming from, right? Are we all in agreement? And are we all with respect for each other and each other's mastery in that domain? And if there's some conflict, let's go into it. Let's have what we call the social density of our group, and to make that distinct, because what sometimes, again, what I see happen, and I'll put this in here, that the inherent fear is there in your traditional organizations, in many of them. The fear of, am I doing what this person wants? Am I making you mad? Am I doing this? It's all looking outside because you're afraid to lose status or be cast out, right? And this place, what I'm in for, is a place where we go into that we cast out the fear, as Deming says, right? We don't want to be a fear-based or group of practitioners. We want to be with each other, for each other, as Mary Follett says. So, the word strategy tingles me a little bit, and that's one thing I want to talk about when we're in there.
I think what I'm suggesting, I'm using actually a discipline where agile strategy can be formed. It's called the strategic doing. Basically, it's a 2-hour workshop that go into divergent, convergent thinking within 2 hours and coming out with an action plan that allow us actually to iterate based on this action plan. It's not set, so it's an iteration process, weekly, monthly, every 2 weeks, whenever. So it's a strategy, a life strategy. It's not the strategic plan that you get stuck with a wishful list of things to do.
So it's not a fixed target with OKRs. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, yeah, it's not. So strategy, basically, what's strategy? Strategy answer 2 questions: where are we going, and how are we going to get there? If you can answer these 2 questions, you have a strategy. So that's how we're going to do it. The framing question is, where are we going? That imagine BetaCodex is such and such. That's where we're going. How are we going to get there? Is these opportunities and action plan and tasks that we're going to iterate every week, every 2 weeks, until we figure it out.
Great. I think it's wonderful that you extended this invitation. When do we start? Right.
Shall we put a deadline for?
We should set this up separately, maybe. Yeah,
Okay.
but
But the invitation is open. You can reach out to me, to Ryan, to Niels. Yeah,
yes,
any one of us, and we're gonna start if we have 5 persons.
good. That sounds reasonable too. Very good. I like that limitation. Very good.
If we have 10, we're gonna have 2 tables. That's fine.
Perfect.
So
Well,
we have 2
right, in cell
projects.
structure design, we'd only have about 7, right? So 200.
It's all right.
5 to 7. All right. Well, this sounds like a nice, juicy invitation. Good way to come together and exercise our sense of dignity and agency and a desire to make change happen in the world. So, flippin-tastic.
Do you want to add something on the same topic, Mohammed? Or
Well, that's what else?
you already
Uh,
broadcast 2 events. One event, the conference in Kuwait, the Kuwait Agile Transformation Conference,
Yeah.
and the second is this.
His invitation. Kuwait's on the books.
I mean, I have to say something
exercise,
about. I have to say something in the credit of Niels and Silke and whoever built this. Actually, it's. I feel we are standing on the shoulders of giants. Mary Parker Follett, Maslow's, McGregor. You're talking about all these people who had this dream, and we even the contemporaries like Peter Senge, the Learning Organization, and all those have these dreams, and now we have actually a structure for it, and we have tools, and we have machine for transformation, and we figured it out. And I think, and that's where my enthusiasm comes out for this, because it's all there, and it can be done easily. I say it.
Yes. I what you just said, Mohammed, reminded me of this famous case discovered at the beginning of the 1960s by Eric Trist and Fred Emery in England, this a British coal mine, northern England somewhere. And they discovered this case of a coal mine that was organized in a self-organized cell structure design way, very obviously, very beta. Everything they discovered about it was totally beta, in a coal mine at the beginning of the 1960s. So one would say in the least likely circumstances, this organization, company, coal mine had figured out a way, out of sheer need. Some technological innovation came into play. They figured out that there was a different way of organizing the work in the mine with a different mining technology and so on. But most of the innovation was organizational. But at the time, of course, they were able to describe how this worked, but they had no way of creating cases like this, producing transformation. They didn't have the method, the approaches. They had a lot of good ideas about the approaches and a lot of ideas. This was the socio-technical systems movement of the 1960s and 70s and 80s, right? And now I think with open space beta, with self-structure design, with relative targets, we have a lot of knowledge about how this works. We've done it even.
Yeah. The technology, the social technology makes it happen.
Yes. It's not the genius of individuals like Ricardo Semler, whom we mentioned earlier. You don't need a lightning figure, a shiny angel or something like that. You do not need God to produce these kind of cases. You can use the methodology. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
To bring forth these patterns into the world for the purpose of doing work that matters for people who care, and without the imposition of
yes,
of command and control, without the carrot in front of us and the stick behind us. So,
which is beautiful, by the way. In the conference we will be doing in November in Kuwait, we bring together, the theory, the conceptual bits, and the format in itself is already, invitation based, open space. So I think that's one of the lovely ideas that Mohammed had for that conference, to make it open space, to prove the point through the format of the conference itself. It's the ultimate mind fuck, as some psychologists say.
And
At least we are conceiving it like that.
since we're teaching the social technology, we better use it. Again, when people do coaching for agile groups, we do it, and then why can't we do our marketing the same way? Like
Sure.
the invitation I proposed today is, let's market ourselves the same way in an agile format.
Yes, and in a collaborative format,
Yeah.
in an inviting, attractive and inviting
Yeah.
format.
So use these social technologies that we have. Use it.
And cast management as a social technology to garbage heap of history. Is that the quote that comes up? And yeah, but managers are invited.
No, managers can do much better. I think managers are not the problem. I insist.
They are.
Managers
The people are not the problem,
Yeah.
but if whoever you are invited, right? I mean, that's the core.
Yeah, I mean, I always like to say that the people in the world, in Kuwait, in Germany, in the US, wherever you come from, the people who have most to win from turning organizations into beta organizations, the people who have most to earn, to win, to gain from the transformation we are suggesting are managers, because look at it, their work lives, their activities, the way they use their time and their intelligence, it's not really ideal. And I think most managers, executives, even company owners are aware of this, the mess they are in personally, even, with their personal careers. Until 10 years ago or so in Germany, we had a saying that went like, if you are a very good manager, you have to suffer a heart attack by the age of 60 at least, otherwise you're not even a good manager. And this kind of, I mean, this is, and I mean, in America, the cliche is, if you do not cling to your cell phone and are available 24/7, you are not a good manager either. And if you do not have meetings running in a half-hour sessions, in a half-hour rhythm, you are not a good manager. So these things are all ridiculous, right? Managers are not supposed to decide; they are supposed to think and let others make the decisions, right? And that's, I think, something that Mohammed beautifully referred to. To create engagement, we need to allow everybody to make decisions about being in or out in certain things, going to a meeting or not. Ricardo Semler, by the way, wrote beautifully about this. Right? That's why meetings should be voluntary, to force people to make a decision for themselves.
Don't require, don't impose upon them. So,
Mohammed, don't you think? Do you agree? No.
You see, again, it's like I ask this question. It's like one day you were talking about it, and I took it from your conversation. Nothing more engaging than making decisions. Okay, so what does that mean? And if you look at it from a psychological standpoint, if I ask you now, Niels, what do you like to eat for dinner? You're going to make a decision. And during that time, you're thinking of the food you're going to eat. There's no way you're not engaged. You're totally engaged, because you cannot be unengaged. It's just your attention is totally on the decision. And then people complain of disengagement. Of course, if you're not making decisions, I mean, say 100 things can distract you from the work.
Yeah, which is the worst, I think, in change management, that it really doesn't leave decisions. Doesn't give people any opportunity usually to make decisions by themselves. The only decision is, do I resist, or do I adhere?
Yeah.
Fine.
Yeah. Again, just in terms of the practice of change management, again, the area that I'm exploring with a program at a university that I love, Bowling Green State University, is about collaborative change, right? How do we seek change, the change we seek to have happen in the world? How do we do it collaboratively? And what are the ways that we can again, I say melt the pyramid into the sphere and collaborate together. And that's, that's the beauty of it, and how do you work collaboratively? How do you engage with each other, for each other, even through conflict, and with respect to to creating value in the world? And do you want that, right? Do you want that? Are you willing to risk whatever it is that you're risking, whether it's a loss of status, a loss of affiliation, whatever it is? Do you want it? If you want it, that's the invitation to make a decision. Decide that you want to come be with Mohammad in this workshop with Niels and me. Decide that you want to, if you are in the Middle East, if you're near Kuwait, or if you want to fly into Kuwait, go to that session. Do it. Decide. And it's and that's the tension, right? What is the tension that we want to create in the world to invite a decision to make the world a more beta place?
Yeah. By the way, even at the conference, we will have people make the decision if they want to run sessions and be in sessions in Arabic or in English. Of course, my Arabic is a little rusty.
We will have a translator who's already there with the headsets. So anyone who cares to hear what the other language says can grab a headset.
Which is the ultimate decision as well. Do you want to sit in a session that's in Arabic? For me, that's a radical decision. By the way, I like that. I like the idea. Yeah.
Well, at this point, I think we're at quarter till the hour. We could probably rest and riff for another hour, I think, or longer potentially. So we also have, for those of you who are watching, you have signed up for the BetaCodex book club, the Beta Book Club. Niels, you have a book there, probably. Yes, The Capitalist Philosophers by Andrea Gabor. We will be talking about that in 13 minutes on Niels' Zoom. If you've signed up on LinkedIn, you will see yourself tagged. Check your notifications. Come on into the Zoom. And if we don't see you, I'll probably reach out to you and drag you in. So you're in, I'm in, let's be in together. So, all right, Niels, Mohammad, do you have final words that either of you want to say before I land this baby?
I would say Mohammad was such an amazing, lovely, and delightful guest, and such an inviting guest. I might say that he can come back, right? Ryan, what do you say? He could come back at some point.
Why don't we talk about what happened at the workshop?
Exactly. So we might have you back, Mohammad.
Definitely. It's a pleasure and honor to be with you.
Strategic doing for the BetaCodex network. All right, Mohammad.
What do you have
to say?
Final words from you, Mohammad.
Well, first, I'll tell you, it's a pleasure and honor, and I'm very, very happy. First, I'm very thrilled for the conference. It's coming. It's true, coming. It was an idea. Now it's there in less than 4 weeks, and also. I'm also very excited that I can now, part of such a, group of people who finally we found, people who can work on a purpose together. Like, although we every one of us work individually, work in a separate individual consultant, but imagine the opportunity when we get together to do something together. If we really, as Ryan saying, how can we collaborate? Imagine if we are able to collaborate and work together, and I see exciting opportunities.
Fantastic. Niels, Mohammad, thank you so much. And we'll see everybody next week on BetaCodex Live. Who knows when or how that will happen? We will sense into that opportunity. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching. Worldwide Beta. We are bringing BetaCodex to the world in Kuwait in November with the strategic doing for BetaCodex here shortly. I'm sure we will see about that on LinkedIn. And whatever you wish to bring to the world in the lens of the BetaCodex and be in spirit with us. As always, thank you for the precious gift of your time and attention. And with that, we'll see you next week.